Lungs. The air doesn't taste so clean anymore. I remember as a youngster gasping for breath. The midsummer breeze provided me with plenty, and I swallowed pintfuls and laughed at the energy it gave and at the thumping of my heart. The air was a little milder then. It was the same time in my childhood when I remember that it actually snowed for Christmas. So I also must have felt the cold. But temperature does not threaten you when you are young and your lungs are full. Not like nowadays, when the only reason you don't destroy your lungs with smoke is because you've seen the hospital wards, heard of loved ones eaten away because of a malignant growth. That still doesn't stop you from taking the odd toke. It hardly seems to matter now that we are all living in denial. There was a time in our lives when our lungs were important. If you didn't have strong ones, you couldn't keep up with your friends, and you needed to keep fit if you wanted to be a soldier in the war. If there was ever a chance of there ever being a war. This being before the boisterous, childish ideals realised the dull pointlessness of living in a neutral country, where you're more likely to die in a car crash or smoking your lungs tar black. You always wondered why your mother kept telling you to start when she could never stop. Did she really not want you to have as much fun as she was having? Imagine how many extra holidays you could have spent together had she saved the money instead of spending it on cigarettes. And if your sister had never been born, you'd have sailed the world twice around the world, gone to Disneyland twice a year, and went skiing in the Alps instead of waiting to grow up in boring old Ireland, waiting for school to end and the rain to stop. Imagine how many years she wasted because of each cigarette costs 14 seconds of your life. Why does she want to leave you so soon, like her own mother, smoking her way to an early grave? It's funny how you were the one who kept such good care of your lungs, and it's you who were the first to end up in hospital. A place where you could see the germs buzzing, waiting for you as you arrived through the door. They're going to make you lie in bed for a whole week and you didn't break your leg, yet they're smiling after you now. Daft bastards. I wonder will I keep smiling if I'd ever make it out of this mess. But you must admit it tastes splendid, takes the edge off, puts things into perspective, helps the time pass, makes you look interesting. Nowadays it's a lot more social anyway, an excellent opportunity to strike up conversations outside of pubs. You could meet the love of your life if one day she asked you for a light. No one really wants to grow old anyway, pissing yourself in the same chair, the brain unbalanced by the mind-numbing antidepressants and the oncoming surge of arthritis. This portrait with intent will explode. I'm tired of people telling me that I should smile in photographs. My resistance has got nothing to do with an attitude problem or my attempt at looking acutely fashionable. Is it just the way I look most of the time? Shouldn't what we choose to record at least strive for authenticity? I'm just not interested in selling myself into the acceptable family comfort mode, having my split-second cherry face sink in against the kitchen wall's calming comfort scheme. To be doted on by aging female relatives and jovially mocked by visiting casual friends. If anything, I don't want my past to be looked upon at all. Maybe it's the old story of leaving home and the urge to reinvent oneself, to block out the old experiences, the old embarrassments, freeing yourself to embark on a fresher tirade of critical self-assessment. To be finally and victoriously free from the unsettling confines of childhood, to engage yourself completely in the waking, walking, working nightmare of maturity, responsibility, and devastating ambition. Frightened of Christ. Hell sometimes can be a comforting thought for the bastards that deserve to go there. When you consider the suffering and pain they've caused, they deserve to be confronted by a special kind of fear. It makes sense. The punishment is apt. Guilt has to work both ways. But the thought is still not a resolution for me, particularly as the opposite doesn't attract, given the fact that I spent the majority of my life frightened of Christ. It has its origins in my own childhood, when I remember back to when I hurried wearied past the old imposing church on my way into town, when I was a 4-year-old believing if I wasn't quick, the whole heaving bulk of it would tumble flatly upon my fragile frame. Senior infants religion class didn't help either, getting to grips with the crucifix and the like. My parents having sheltered me from the harsh realities of martyrdom in the cold, damp mass congregation on empty Sunday mornings. And the scowl of that year's teacher, who had complained that I wrote too much like a spider's web, giving us throatfuls of original sin in the rhetoric of Easter Monday and my childhood innocence, exposed in the opinion spoken aloud to a classroom of trained apatheticals, that not only did I believe that Jesus Christ was the Son of God, but that he never existed either. Perhaps history disproves my claim on the latter, but the former is still full of endless possibility. I could never really face staring into the eyes of the owner of that Sacred Heart for more than 5 seconds. He accused me of far too much, without having any notion of who exactly I was. And as I got older, teachers tried to convince me that he really was full of love and understanding, but those portrait-painted deepest blue eyes could lead to a war criminal's breakdown, and I wouldn't take the sack and ashes for any man. Thanks.